Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. And suddenly it was 8 o'clock. I was just faffing around, making myself a coffee, and then, it's 8 o'clock. Yes, 8 o'clock in the morning here in Portugal. How are you doing this morning? We had the most beautiful weekend here in São Martinho de Porto. The Gumper Good Times Gathering, I think it's fair to say, was a huge success this weekend. Bom dia a todos e feliz segunda. Wow, what a wonderful week. There we go. What a wonderful weekend in São Martinho de Porto. Thanks to all who made it happen, particularly Carl and Louisa. It was so lovely to meet so many Gumpers. A great way to make new friends. Roll on the next one. Yes, and we will. I think it's okay to say we will go ahead with this idea. It came together beautifully. Who doesn't like to come together beautifully first thing in the morning? And we've got tentatively the third Saturday in every month, which I think was what the 15th was. Was that the third Saturday? Okay. This is where I get into the weeds and the long grass, isn't it? Of arrangements and dates. The next it would be the 15th of March. However, I call her the muse of the evening, she who wanted to dance, and she did on Saturday. Alison can't be here on the third Saturday of March. I think we're going to do it on the 4th, probably the 12th. So pencil it in if you want to come and join us, as so many people did. And thank you so much, everybody who came from all over the world. Look, Mel, she came from Australia, not specifically to be with us on Sunday for the Sunday gathering. The Zumba got cancelled, unfortunately, because of the rain, but we didn't let that stop us having a great time. We were hanging out at the Palmeira Cafe pretty much all day yesterday as well. So friends from all over the world, all over the country, came to São Martinho de Porto, and we had a lovely time. So yeah, pencil it in then tentatively for the 22nd of March. That will be confirmed in due course. But one thing's for sure, we'll be having one of these every month, and eventually we may tour it as well around the country. So maybe we'll have a quarterly fixture here in São Martinho de Porto, and we'll go elsewhere. I've talked to Astrid and Jerry. They're doing their socials every other month. Maybe we'll slot it into their program as well, because I think it's fair to say it was a great success. Bom dia Gumpers. Karen and I had a great time this weekend in São Martinho de Porto. How about that? And sorry I couldn't be there much of the time, but great to meet those I did for a brief time. It was lovely to meet you in real life, in person yesterday, Mel. I'm looking forward to including you as part of the show lineup. I'll come back and say a bit more about the weekend. Would love to hear your comments. Want to see those videos as well. It was really wonderful. It was a lovely mixture. A bit of comedy from the great Colin Ross Jones. A bit risque, wasn't he? It's like having a 70s comedian unreconstituted comedy as part of the evening. Karaoke, of course. And actually, let me just play you a little bit of footage from the weekend. This is the amazing Michael Bliss. Michael and Cheryl came, and their lovely daughter as well. Our daughter and their daughter really hit it off and had a great time this weekend. Actually, the kids had a fantastic time this weekend. It's definitely a family event. It was like going back in time when, every generation was there having a wonderful time, from the youngest to the oldest. Yeah, at one point I looked on the dance floor. I think there's a little 2-year-old dancing on the dance floor, and at one point I think there was a 102, well, not quite, but there were some oldies having a fantastic time on the dance floor. I can't play too much of that because it will get me a YouTube strike. Obviously I can't play other people's copyrighted music, but I'd love it if you could send me any videos you do have of the action. Sam, you're amazing leading the disco dancing. I'll come back to a few more thank yous after this, but look, we were treated to some karaoke, which I think is an awful thing to impose on professional musicians and singers, but Michael still sang to us with his beautiful voice, his beautiful soulful voice. Here's a little segment of that from the weekend. I'm getting tingles again. That was just one of many such moments where just incredible vibes are rippling through the whole building. The building belongs to the lovely family Rodrigo was our host in the cocktail bar, the Casa de Lem. He did us proud. Lovely to be in his company. I didn't know what I don't think he knew what he was letting himself in for when I said, like, I don't know, we'll have about maybe 50 people coming along. Is it okay for us just to set up a sound system in here and play some music and do a bit of karaoke? And he's looking at me and going, yeah, it's a few months ago now when we first started thinking about the idea. Yeah, okay, fine. And then I saw him a few weeks ago. I said, you know, it's the 15th of February, right? Is it? Oh, 15th of February. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So all this time I'm thinking, I don't know if this is really going in and if he's really comfortable about this or not. It's, you know, the Portuguese culture is like, yeah, fine, let's do that. And I'm not sure all this time whether it's going to happen or not. But it happened, it did, and he looked after us beautifully. What a wonderful host he was, and his mum and dad who own the hotel as well. I think people who stayed at the hotel, Bob and Viv, you had a lovely time. I can recommend the combo of staying in the hotel above the cocktail bar. You don't have far to stumble back to your room. Others chose the Storyteller's Palace, of course, as well, which some of you know here. And if it wasn't for João Ernesto, for example, I wouldn't be connected with the Storytellers. He suggested I go there, I don't know, about 18 months ago. Go see Marco, he's a great character. And now, look, we broadcast from there once a month. Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Portugal, from João Ernesto. Missed you, John, but I know you were having a great time elsewhere in the world, in Spain, in fact. So good morning to Gemini Bradshaw as well. Maybe see you there next time, Gemini, in March when we do it all again with the disco, with the karaoke, with a bit of live performance and contribution as well. And it came together with the most fantastic sound system as well. We were wondering how we would do this, how we would have enough volume and a good enough PA to do the music justice. We listened to the greatest music from probably mainly from the 70s on Saturday night. So thank you very much to Gav and family over. Lovely to see you all. And a special thanks to Gavin Williamson, who has part funded the PA system. So far, Good Morning Portugal and Gav, we've gone halves on this incredible Bose PA that was it's just an extraordinary bit of kit, and it filled the room admirably. So thank you, Gav. Thank you also to Bob and Viv, who contributed towards the sound system as well. There are things we probably need to buy to make it a little bit easier, like a couple of wireless mics rather than corded mics. So thank you, Bob, for your very generous donation of €50 towards our PA and sound system. Please keep those coming in. It's a community effort. It's not a consumer thing. It's a community effort. The networking, the collaboration, people coming together from all over the world was just a beautiful sight to behold, especially when they're all strutting their stuff, doing their thing on the dance floor together as well. So send me the videos if you've got any videos. 913-590-303 when that dance floor was packed and people were getting down on the dance floor there. John, I wish we could have been there, but had other obligations and go. Of course, but absolutely, that's going to happen, isn't it? And we will do this every month so that you can come along at some point and stay in beautiful San Martino de Porto, who didn't fail to impress and delight everybody as well. This beautiful town here. Nelson at Palmera yesterday looked after everyone beautifully. And we had the Caldas Beer Festival as well that I popped over to. That was a lovely part of the weekend too for some of the people who came. I may have broken out my Margaritaville rendition for karaoke night. Well, John, let's put your name down next to that for next time. And we'll look forward to having you singing there. Pete, where are you in the world? You were also missed, Pete. You'd have had a fantastic time. What would you have sung? Peter Bleach, Bom Dia ALEGRIA from you. Are you in the country at the moment? Do let us know. And yeah, and if I'm sure you've had a great weekend wherever you are here in Portugal. Send us pictures, videos, 913-590-303. And also, we have I got my Munson's mailbag slide ready? Because that's a new feature. Let's have questions that we help people answer. I mean, we've always done this, but let's formalize it a little bit. And we've got some questions for Munson's mailbag, which we'll come back to. Maybe we'll do that with James, who joins us at 8:20 this morning for a bit of Munson mailbag action, the bulging sack of correspondence that we'll do our best to deal with. And of course, at 8:40 this morning, we've got Vitor Costa. We've got some nice little videos actually to play. Yeah. So Munson's mailbag, there you go. Send text, voice, and video messages. So it doesn't have to be just a text. It can be a video message. You can show us something like, how do I get rid of this mold with a video? Yeah. Send me pictures of your mold. maybe don't. But there might be something you're like, you're sending us a video of something you've seen in the supermarket, and well, how do I cook that? Should I even be eating it? 913-590-303. And not just the newbies and the people on their way to Portugal. Those of you who've been there for a little while, things still come up, don't they? Probably every day, a little bit of a curiosity every day. If you want the Gumpers help on that, 913-590-303 for Munson's mailbag. Voice messages, always lovely to play out on the show as well. And if you don't want to do voice or video, you can send us a good old-fashioned straightforward text to 913-590-303 as well. We've got some questions from Chris in Devon in the UK, which we'll do our best to get round to. If not today, then certainly this week in the new Munson's mailbag feature. Right. Yeah, I was talking about the Caldas Beer Festival as well. If you look just behind me here, here's my lovely pink Pequeno couple Pequeno. I could have gone for blue. I could have gone for pink. I went for the pink, obviously, as you can see here. And Caldas de Rainha beautifully caricatured here. And that's how we rolled. You get one of these for 50 cents on arrival. I think it was €1. The bigger one was 150. Wow, still pretty good value. And a lovely memento, another relic for the Portugal shrine here. And got there, and I didn't want to be drinking too much. I had a big night ahead of me. Oh, and then when we were leaving, the vehicle wouldn't start as well. So a bit tense on the way home on Saturday afternoon. This was the single beer that I had with a low ABV. Look at that lovely Mexican food behind there, the nachos there as well. That, my friends, is an organic prickly pear ale. It was Love Potion, it was called, made by James, our friend at the Anson Brewery. Lovely to see you, James, and all the other brewers there. Great music, a great craft stores. I managed to get Mrs. M a nice little Valentine's gift there. It was a perfect event, really, for buying Valentine's gifts, trying craft beer, and hearing great music. And the music was curated by our mate Richard Allen over at Prohibition Bar. Did a great job there. The only problem was I wasn't able to spend enough time there, or as much time as I would have liked. So that was fantastic. And they had some great kind of entertainment en passant. Look at this fella here. I don't know what this activity is called. Maybe you can help us with this. Olá, boa tarde. Skills, huh? Yes. How are you getting there? Bus, train, car? No, I'm going to be walking my big ball to the beer festival. So there you go. There's the big ball man. What else would you call him? Right there. Yeah, so more great video to follow when James and when Vitor join us a little bit later on. Oh, yes, it is the Bon Dia Daily, of course, this part of the show, the first 20 minutes, news and weather. So we better do that. Let's, and yeah, any more comments you've got, any more feedback you've got about the weekend, glad to hear that this morning. Oh, morning to you as well, Jackie Bon Dia Gumpers. And we want to know which Gumper sang what. Visual evidence too. Well, you saw Michael Bliss singing Superstition by Stevie Wonder there. And we had Frank turn up. Not that Frank, a new friend, Frank from the Algarve. Isn't that funny? Frank's in the Algarve. What's that about? He turned up and said, oh, can you put New York, was it New York, I think, for me? And he just blew us all away. There were people filming him through the window from outside on the Prasa. He was incredible. Lovely to make your acquaintance, Frank. And he's invited us down to the Portimao with the Gumpers to do a thing down there. I think he hosts a karaoke down there. So, how lovely to meet you. Let me see what else. Ruby, she was amazing. Young Ruby Austin was really incredible with her karaoke and performance. I think my daughter and I sang I'm Still Standing. Minnie, it was her debut. She said, I was shaking, but I absolutely loved it. Can I have a birthday party like that as well? So that's a high praise indeed. When my own kids want me to DJ at their parties, they won't always want me to do that, but they're still young enough to request me to do that, and I would be delighted to do so. As that was a nice high point for me when my own daughter asked me to have a birthday party like that. We love the little mugs at every festa. Did you get a t-shirt, fridge magnet, hat? I've started my fridge magnet connection here with my Battaglia fridge magnet that you can see there. Pete. Notebook or pen. Yes, I think this shrine will be full up before the end of the year. Antonio Barbosa, a bit of Tony Time Man in the Minho. Morning greetings from a soon-to-be warm 61. That's wishful thinking, positive projection, visualization there. Wishing you all a happy Monday and an excellent week ahead. Cheers, Tony. The big ball rollers, last one we saw was at Al Congosta, up a 40-degree incline. So it's a thing. Yes, and good on you, Minnie. Yes, she was amazing. I'm still standing, shaking while she's singing a karaoke, but she wanted to do it. All the kids had a fantastic time. A little soul set up his own shop based on the buffet and wrote himself a little sign. It was really wonderful, truly a family event. It was like going back 1 or 2 decades, quite frankly. Morning to you, James. Just getting ready. Hey, that one's to me privately, James. You might want to pop that in the main chat there. We'll talk to the old guy and the young guy later on the show. In the last couple of minutes of the Bom Dia Daily, I just want to tell you about this lovely, we've been talking about the best wine, the best sausage, Portugal top of this chart and that chart for this or that. It turns out now that isn't it great? It's like being supporting a football team, isn't it? As though you play for it. And we are going to take some vicarious pleasure in having a building in a top Portuguese I think it might be a global building of the year 2025. We've got a Portuguese finalist in that. So let's have a look at this lovely building. This is in Comporta, I think, which probably tells you a lot about the wealth and status of the owner of the property. And we can congratulate here. Let me show you. I'll bring it onto the screen for you. Do you like the look of this building? It looks like it's in the desert, actually. I think it's rather nice. Portuguese architect Gonçalo Pires Marques is among the finalists for Is it Arc Daily as architects or Arch Daily's prestigious Building of the Year 25 award, one of the most international recognitions in the field of architecture. Field of architecture. See what they did there. His project, Casa Donovan, or Donovan stands out for its innovative use of wood. Who doesn't like innovative use of wood first thing in the morning? And its commitment to sustainability. I can't see your face, James, but I'm guessing it twitched slightly when I said that. Commitment to sustainability becoming an example of excellence in contemporary architecture. It's not exactly an infinity pool, is it? Probably not. But isn't that great how you can be on the sun lounger on that beautiful? Who doesn't like a big deck as well? At any time of day, in the sunshine there in Comporta, lovely pine trees as an integral part of the design there, and lovely wooden architecture. You can just jump into that pool at the end. I'm loving this building. Casa Donovan is distinguished by its unique approach to timber construction, a process the architect himself describes as almost artisanal. Working closely with the master carpenter was essential to ensure precision and quality of execution. Furthermore, the choice of heat-treated wood without the use of chemicals reinforces the commitment to sustainability. In addition to the materials chosen, the design of the house was thought to reduce the need for air conditioning systems. The intelligent use of solar exposure and natural cross-ventilation contribute to a lower environmental impact. There was also a conscious effort to select local suppliers, minimizing travel and imports to reduce the ecological footprint. And that's what it looks like inside. There's a lot of wood in that building. Isn't that beautiful? Open plan and lovely. For Gonçalo Pima, the recognition reinforces the position of Portuguese architecture on the international scene. Portuguese architecture is an area recognized among its peers in the world, like few other areas. Well, apart from sausages and wine and cheese, that is. As in Portuguese cinema, it is regularly mentioned and even awarded. In fact, Portugal is the only country in the world with 2 living Pritzker Prize winners, which reflects the quality and influence of our work. Well, there you go. Casa Donovan is now in the final stages of voting of Building of the Year 2025 award. The public can support this Portuguese project by voting through the following link. Well, I better give you that link then in the chat, but well done. To the architect concerned, just whizzing back to his name so we can name check him again. Gonçalo Pires Marques of which architectural practice is that? You'll find out. You'll find out if you go to this link that I'm just putting in the chat now. I think I'll save the weather and chat about it with James because I would like some peer review on my scientific project. which I'm sure he'll help me. Fellow meteorologist James Holley will be joining me in just a moment. Viva! Olá Bom Dia from San Martino de Porto. I have a lovely view of the bay. Well, send us a picky. 913-590-303, if you will. Bon dia to you, Pam, as well. Would have been lovely to see you maybe next time, Pam. Speaking of buildings made of wood, I believe it was Nuno who told me wooden houses are near impossible to insure here in Portugal. Okay. Well, maybe when they're treated by heat in the way that we heard about there, it might be easier if you make your case to the insurance company. I don't think anything was going to stand. Cost is not going to stand in the way of that build by the look of it there. But that is an interesting point there, João Ernesto. Okay, let's bring him onto the screen, shall we? But not until we've played his music, of course, his walk-on music, or probably just a gentle amble music. Let's bring him onto the Good Morning Portugal show. James Holley, everybody.
Bom dia!
Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Muito bem, obrigado. E tu?
Muito bem, obrigado. Muito bem. We had a fantastic time, James, in San Martino.
Sim.
Of course, you visited. You've been to one or two Gumper gatherings here, haven't you? And yes, it would have been lovely to see you there. I'm not sure if disco and karaoke would have been your thing, however. I'm not sure. No, it's not for everyone, is it?
Watching, listening, appreciating, but not singing.
I think you like the music. Yeah.
I mean, I used to sing, but I haven't for years. And yeah, it would hurt people's ears, I think, if I made an effort at that.
We didn't exclude people on that basis. Very inclusive, very, very community.
I hope you put the best singers on last.
Actually, no. And I think that's always difficult with karaoke. I don't know who it was who started the proceedings. It might have been Terence Austin, but whoever it was who sang first sang brilliantly. And then I think other people think, well, I can't beat that. You need someone terrible to start a karaoke, I think, don't you? And then everyone thinks, oh, I could do better than that, especially after a couple of karaoke juices. And then they, everyone feels a somewhat better singer and dancer, I think, after a little bit of that.
Yeah,
so yeah,
especially if you're already nervous about it, and then someone really great goes on, and you're you're not. It's like, oh my God, I can't go on. No, never mind. Change my mind. Next.
Never mind.
Someone else go on, please.
Yes, yeah, I might have a
no, I need to go to the bathroom. See you. Bye.
I left something in my car.
Where's James? He was right next to me a minute ago.
Yes, mic drop of a kind. So how are you? How was your weekend? Do you have a nice quiet one?
Very quiet, yeah. For a couple of reasons. One was that there was intermittent rain throughout the weekend, so going out was definitely off the list. And both Sidonio and Luisa were occupied doing other things all day Saturday and most of the day Sunday. So I basically had the run of the whole place to myself. But, it's really just my studio anyway. So it was very quiet.
They don't have to worry about you having a mad party, do they? I don't suppose.
No, not at all. No mad parties, no destroying furniture, no drunken nights, none of those kinds of things.
Right. We'll save that for your housewarming. Talking of which, how are the plans going?
Plans are going really well. And Vitor and I actually suggested that if he wanted to talk about his accommodation service, which is what I took advantage of with him when he came on, we'd both be here, and therefore we could share both ends of that experience, and he was totally up for that. So you may hear more about that particular part of it in the final 20 minutes. But he and I have both been in touch with it's so weird to call people who I just know we're going to be friends. It's like landlady. No,
it's such an old-fashioned sound, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not even land; it's a building.
Yes,
my building lady, and again, it's owned by her and her husband. So it's not really just her, but I haven't met him yet. And anyway, she's really great. I actually invited her to join me on the show today. I was going to have her be sort of a surprise guest for you,
Really?
and for the audience. But her husband goes to work at 8, and she's got 3 kids to get ready for school and take to school. So she just
A bit of a busy time right now.
yeah,
Yes,
the timing just what she wouldn't even be back till 9. So I said, oh, well, but she was game. She was nervous. Oh, I've never done anything like that before. I said, oh, it'll be great. Carl's really easy to be with. The audience is very loving and accepting. And she said, okay, well, I'll give it a go. She was willing to do it. But then when she found out the time, she couldn't. So I just really appreciated her willingness to give it a try.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
maybe another time. I don't know. But she's just, her personality is just so no, that's not a good word.
An infectious personality.
Yeah, infectious, contagious. I don't know, but she laughs easily. She's very friendly. It's just she's one of those people that your whole body lightens up when you're around her and engaging with her. So I thought, wow, that'd be a great personality to bring on the show.
Yes.
Even if she was nervous, she would just laugh a lot, and that would be infectious. So
yes, we'd love to meet her at some point. Hopefully we can do that.
Yeah.
And she sounds very Portuguese to me, James.
Yes, well, a little more outgoing, I think, than most of the Portuguese I have met.
Right.
But again, her English is really good. So it makes it easier to interact with her than it might be for me to try to interact with other Portuguese in a way that was very relaxed and easy, and you could just say stuff and go with it. So, that may have something to do with it, but I think most of it is just her personality.
Yes.
So she contacted me and said, hey, the move-in date doesn't have to be a hard and solid date. If you want to be here a little bit early, just let me know and I'll come and let you in and blah, blah. It's like just whatever works best for you. So having that flexibility was really nice as well. I just think it's going to be a really smooth working relationship. And as I said, I just anticipate a good friendship coming out of it as well.
Wonderful.
So.
Have you saw your transport? Because I thought of somebody. There's a wonderful Terry Cartledge in Tamar who sounds like a proper Englishman, doesn't he? Terence Cartledge,
the third.
Mover of possessions and chattels around the world. He's moved us, I think, 2 or 3 times here in Portugal. He's great. He's got a great big van and a big trailer to go behind it if you need it as well. And he's back and forth to the UK. Because that came up as one of your options, didn't it? A man with a van. So if you need him.
Yeah, and the short answer is yes. We've got it worked out because Guilherme, who is Sidonio and Louisa's son, is moving to Esmeriche as he's engaged and he's moving to an apartment with his fiance. So it'll be his first place of his own outside of the family home.
What a great moment.
And he's very excited and very eager while trying to hold back the eagerness so that he doesn't insult his parents. I think, there's when you're in your early 20s,
I can't wait to go. I'm no offense.
And mom's feeling sad inside, and how she carries that out is to call him a traitor and I'm mad at you, but not really. I mean, he knows she's not really mad. She's just sad, but that's so there's just that's right.
Yes.
Leave me here without you. It's like, okay. And there may be, I don't know. We haven't really talked about it much. So a lot of this is just my interpretation of how people are behaving and talking. But, calling someone a traitor. And she called me a traitor, too, because I said, well, I'm happy I'm not your son.
Yeah, she's got a lot of that to deal with.
But she said, but you're still a traitor. I said, okay, I can take it. So so there's the mixed emotions for me of being both excited and knowing that I'm leaving this behind, and for her I think it's a mix of I don't know, disappointment that it's changing, that it's not going to be what it is, a certain amount of sadness that comes from feeling close to somebody. So It's just a part of, the grieving process that we talk about when M's on, and other times. Any loss then is the source of some form of grief. And this is definitely a loss. It's also a gain for me. It'll be a gain for her as well, I think, because she intends to rent this place out. And I came in at a really great rent, and she has the opportunity now after 3 years to kind of catch up with the market. It's still going to be a really great rent. It's just not going to be what I got. So there's a lot of change, and you can kind of feel it. It's interesting, the shift in energy. I think there's a sense of trying to create some separation before the move actually happens, so that when it actually happens, it's not as hard, something along that line. So there's this sort of push-pull thing in there, barely perceptible, but I believe it's there.
On that note, James, whilst you've prompted me there, I'm talking to Aviva this weekend, and with the Millers last weekend in Battaglia. There's definitely space to kind of formalize and create a space, acknowledge these more difficult, what we might call the darker sides of life for us foreigners here in Portugal. So after some amazing conversations, the ongoing conversation you and I have, and with Em, as you mentioned, there's something in the air about providing a space for people to talk about the more difficult aspects. And for me, it's really important because whilst it's like, that's all negative, difficult stuff about Portugal, we don't want to talk about that. We're having a great time. What's really prompted me to take it to a new level and really do something about it is, if it's not addressed, it can become toxic and a downward spiral. That to me, it suddenly occurred to me that that's the important thing about it, is if people don't have a space or don't know of a space in which they can talk about some of the things that are troubling or challenging about their life here, it can seem much worse and be much worse than it might have been if it was talked about and aired and shared, and some maybe some advice and support was gained earlier on in the process, because that's what us human beings are like, aren't we? If we fester and things become toxic, it just seems so much worse than it might actually be. So
and anticipation is almost always worse than the actuality.
Absolutely. So, that's a Mark Twain thing, isn't it? I'm an old man and I've known a great many things in my life, most of which never happened. And that's how it is, isn't it? With stress, it's like so much of stress is thinking about what could happen rather than what does. But whilst that's rattling around in our heads with nowhere to go, it can create problems. So we will.
Yeah, and for me, the key, because I always try to find the grounding, the key to being grounded, or what I call the key to peace for me, which is almost always gratitude. But another part of it, in terms of your everyday interaction, is remembering kindness. If we can just interact in a kind way, then we don't have any sort of negative underneath bubbling, because the kindness is overriding it. And the kindness is the genuine part. We're not pretending. I don't know if you can pretend to be kind. Maybe you can. But, if it's a genuine kindness, then a lot of that subsides, and it really does ease the interactions when things are, they're a little tense, and nobody wants it to be tense. This is what's happening. This is the change that's occurring, and it's going to create some volatility. So let's just be kind. And that has worked for me. Just maintain a positive attitude, my sense of humor, be aware and compassionate for the position of the other person. If you sense that, there's a certain amount of sadness. So rather than taking, you're a traitor sort of thing as serious and taking it defensively, just kind of laugh and say, behave as if you're saying, I love you anyway. It doesn't matter if you call me a traitor. It's, it's fine. I understand. Is a much better place to come from than, how dare you? I'm not a traitor. I'm just,
oh my God. Yeah, you're peeing on my chips, man.
Stop it.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You idiot.
Yes, exactly. Right. Stop it, you idiot.
Yes. So we will be providing, formalizing that kind space. And I think there are a number of people in and around our community who are happy to work one-to-one with people as well, should that be necessary. But that's a great word. And there's a lovely resonance there in my tribute to, at one moment on our party night on Saturday, I wanted to acknowledge the country we've come to. You know, that was the connecting factor for everybody, the Gumpers on the dance floor and in our club there. We're all in a new country. And we knew we were in a new country because whilst people were dancing and doing karaoke, there was a lovely old guy from the town trying to watch the football match. And you'll have seen in the karaoke there, there's a massive screen behind Michael. And whilst people were dancing and the music was blaring, there was a gentleman from the town watching Sporting playing. And for some people, that would be like dying and going to heaven. Disco music and football all in one place.
I can watch football while I dance. Amazing.
Yes, incredible. And I thought this is such a beautiful vignette of integrated life here in Portugal. You know, we might have, you know, I might have said, do you mind if we sort of turn the telly off because we're trying to have a party here? But I thought, no, we're in Portugal. We'll have a party and the locals will watch football at the same time. It was a picture of integration. It was fantastic. And when I was saying, you know, can we just have a moment and give it up for the host country, for this culture that's welcomed us so beautifully? It was the words that came to mind, the key words, you know, like acceptance and kindness and openness. Kindness, definitely a characteristic of this country. So yeah, let's do what we can to be kind to each other when things aren't going quite as we would have planned, because that's life and that's what happens from time to time.
You
James,
can say, I don't like what's happening right now, and I love you. I mean, they're not opposed to each other. It's like I need a chance to work this out. So
yes. Well said. And I can't imagine there's anyone who hasn't had moments like that in the great adventure of moving country. Right. So back to science now. From
scientific rigor is what we call it.
That's right. Peer-reviewed weather reports. Right. Look, I see sunshine on the horizon here, James. There's some sun
on a cloudy day.
Look, I mean, the general picture is cloud, isn't it? But there are definitely outbreaks of sun, and even in the bay, we've got a lovely picture from the coach this morning, who's got a nice bay view here in San Martino de Porto. It's golden. And so we're definitely having this. And I've got a little film to play when Vitor joins us, because he shared it on his timeline, and I'm going to play that. And it just goes to show that even if the general weather picture looks like cloud, and cloud, there are and cloud. And what happens to you emotionally when you look at that string of clouds and you see a little sun in the middle of it? It opens up my heart. It opens up my heart chakra.
So it's not the thing in itself. It's the thing relative to something else. So if it was always sunny all the time, like summer, people start going, oh, when's it going to rain? You know, I'm sick of the sun. It's too hot. You know, you stop appreciating this week.
It got too hot, James. It got too hot last week as well.
There you go. So it's a thing relative to something else that can make it special. I think that's why people get so excited in sports when your team wins. It's like, oh, that's the sunshine in a bunch of clouds, you know, for the years that they were losing. It's those moments that really raise our vibration and our feeling of gratitude and love and things. So a picture of sunshine in the middle of the winter, you know, it's like, oh yeah, there's a sense of, ooh, I really appreciate that. But if you did that in July, yeah, okay, nice picture.
Whatever. Yeah, we could do with a bit of rain, actually. It's far too hot.
Yeah, it's getting a little dry, a little hot. The reservoirs are drying up, you know, we need some rain. Yeah.
That's us, so
that's just
human roller coaster ride of human life.
Yes, and that's just human behavior, I think.
Well, the Munson's mailbag picture is yesterday. Look at that. I mean, that beautiful sunshine highlighting the word
Portugal. I love the contrast too. Look at that sky against the white and the gray. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was absolutely superb to see that. Oh, we also need to talk about the Gulf of Portugal when we join us in just a moment. I think he might be officially unveiling that this morning.
Proposing it.
Yeah, that's right. We might have the United Nations on the phone, but then again, we might not. They're quite busy at the moment. So there you go. There's your weather. A few sort of outbreaks of sunshine possible this week, but definitely the temperatures are going up. Things are changing. And I think in anticipation of Vitor joining us, let's roll this little bit of VT. Are you going to stay with us and chat with Vitor this morning?
Yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All right.
Today I have the time.
Good man. Okay, let me just play a wonderful bit of video then that Vitor shared. You might this may resonate with you. I think this is the one.
My first house in Portugal. Porra, what's this called? Outdoor temperature 18, indoor temperature 5? I'll just turn on the heater real quick. What's this electricity bill? I bought the smallest heater. Energy efficient. The weather is nice, they say. The Caribbean of Europe. I need to buy cerolas, pá. Cerolas.
Need to find out what cerolas are, don't we? But
Yes.
I've not heard that before. California of Europe, the Caribbean of Europe. Right. He can take this on behalf of the nation and take responsibility for this and explain it to us. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Vitor Costa, everybody. Olá, bom dia.
Bom dia.
Hey.
Hello, I'm pretending to be frozen.
Hello.
Oh,
Yes, I know. Stop doing that to me. All right.
a little
Well, yeah,
shiver,
like the
maybe.
girl
A
in
little
the video.
shiver.
Now,
The
talking of freezing, she's absolutely right. The girl in the video. What are cerolas?
They're kind of like leggings or pants or socks, I think. It's been so long I almost forgot since I've heard that that word.
Oh,
actually.
okay. So, okay, thermal undies or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Long
It's
johns.
just a normal piece of clothing, but I think that's probably more a rural or something way of calling it. So I seem to only
Okay,
remember
okay,
hearing
so-
that as a kid. So
An extra layer.
Yeah, but
But
hilarious.
fun fact,
James and I were laughing.
so-
watching it.
I don't know if you remember that we have a partner with the electricity that we can help our clients get index-based electricity contracts that
Yes.
on average are much cheaper than what most people pay for electricity. Yeah, we talked about it on the show. I did your contract as well. And
You did mine, yeah.
this month, I've had at least two people call us like, "Hey, Vitor, what's going on? My electricity bill went up by a lot." And then I asked them to take a look. And not only, yes, the index is a bit higher now. The prices are now between 15 and 80 cents a month, kind of, give or take. But most people are paying 21 to 24 cents, so it's still cheaper. But their consumption, like one of them is a single lady living in one bedroom, but she consumes 600 kilowatt hour of energy. And to put that into perspective, here at our house, we spend between 300 and 400 now in the cold month, and we use some heating. So the other person, that they're a couple, they used up 750 in 1 month and 800 kilowatts in the next. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I was complaining. Well, was I complaining? I don't know. Yeah, probably. In fact, I was looking at our. I am that old dad now who goes around turning lights and heaters off. Do we really need that on? Can we turn that off 10 minutes before we leave the room? These sorts of things. And
Before you leave, okay.
yeah. And or could you not turn it on at all? Could you just put a jumper on? All those things that I thought I'd never hear myself saying, but now I say them myself.
I just had a visual flash. Just a sort of a spring bar, like when you go through into a subway or something. The thing has the turns, just something like that. That every time you walk through it just flips the light switch.
Yes, well, the electricity companies are not going to like that sort of technology. and you know, last month or the month before last, it was 260, I think, for our house, and this most recent bill, thanks to Vitor, was 240. And it seems like a lot, but I thought, okay, well, that's just like 60 quid a week. Less than 10 euros a day, and Mrs. M loves to sit in the studio and blast herself with hot air and you know, the oil-filled heater. So really, overall, it's not so bad. It seems like a lot of money, of course. But,
Well, and you've got a 3-bedroom place with a kitchen and a dining area and a living room, it's a fairly large space as well.
You have a big bad boy property, yeah.
That's not too bad, is it? It's not too bad. So yeah, it's just a big eye-watering chunk.
And 5 people who need to figure out their.
Yeah, but that's like 5 human radiators as well. As if you look at it from a different point of view, and 2 dogs and a cat, we should all be keeping each other warm and turning off all the appliances, basically. But anyway, there you have it. And yes, Vitor, if people want to reach out to you for, it's Audax, isn't it? Is the name of the company?
There are many. Audax is one of them. Right now, we are using Plenitude, but it's similar.
Yes. Okay, very good. Now, you two, it's fair to say, kind of, that you got a room. I don't.
A whole apartment.
Yeah, a whole apartment.
This is serious.
Get a room, you two, and you did. James wanted to talk with you on screen, Vitor, about the process that you've been helping him with very successfully, I might add. Not only have you found him somewhere to live in Espinho, you found him someone really lovely to live with, and a great landlady. In fact, what is that in Portuguese? Landlady seems like such an old-fashioned phrase in English. What would be the same term here in Portugal?
Senhorio.
Senhorio. That sounds so much better, doesn't it? Your senhorio, like the landlady. So tell us about it then. We've been watching this journey. You help people move to Portugal, move around Portugal clearly, and little memory here from João Ernesto. Vitor, did you know Vitor was very instrumental in helping Pam and me to find a home, which we love. Muito obrigado, Vitor. So another little tribute to you there. I was with Bob and Viv yesterday and over the weekend. You helped them, of course, as well. So it's quite incredible how you've been helping people, and you've been helping James most recently. What do you two gentlemen want to tell us about that process this morning?
Well, I'd like to say that one of the things I really appreciate about working with Vitor is that when you say we did it, we did it. It was a coordinated effort between the two of us. It was a collaboration. It wasn't an entire turning it over, Vitor, you do it all and just give me the keys when it's time to move in. And it wasn't, James, you decide everything and just let me know what you want and I'll get it done. It was a very eloquent dance that we did to make that happen. And I think that's part of why it was so successful.
Very good. Very good.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, you're so modest though. So how does this service work, Vitor? If people want to engage with you, what do? They get in touch with you through Portugal Door to find them somewhere to live here in Portugal?
Yes, we do offer highly personalized services, of course, and each client is different. So that's why I always like meeting with the people first. Also because maybe I'm not the right person to help everyone. So I always like to have a conversation, see what the objectives are, what the plans are. And then here are my terms for work. And then we will work together in the best way that I think that we can come together and find their solution, right? On this case, for example, we were looking for a very highly specific rental in Espinho. And so we kind of partnered up, right? James would go to groups on Facebook and things like that and look for people, landlords, agents that would have properties that they could consider renting that would fit those requirements. I would call all of my colleagues, whatever contacts James would get, he would let them know, hey, I'm working with Vitor. He's going to give you a call or something like that. Then I would get in touch. And it was not a very easy process. It took several months and lots of ups and downs. Some homes were really great for one thing, but then it wouldn't work. And then we had to coordinate with the travel because Spring is like an hour and a half from where I live. It's even longer from where James was going, and he didn't even have a car to get there. So we had to coordinate all of that, right?
Which included trying to group viewings, right? Let's get 4 or 5 in one day. You know, if I was local, it's like, well, here's one, let's do, and it would be the same for Vitor, you know, if he needed to come down. It's not something you can just every day go check out another place. You have to coordinate kind of grouping them, which then means coordinating the schedules of the people that own the properties in addition to his schedule and my schedule. So that gets much more complex. Yeah, I think what worked in a way, in a very strange way, to our advantage is that because of the specifics of what I was looking for, there were very few things to view. I mean, I think we actually literally looked at 2 properties over the process, out of maybe a dozen or so that people showed up and said, hey, I have this. 10 of those were not what I was looking for. So we looked at 2, and it just, again, I think it's because of the energy we created, because of the clarity of what we were looking for was there, that this property showed up. And it was really it was the last one we looked at, and before we left the viewing, it's like, this is what I wanted. This is it. I don't have to think about this.
And it was almost a Hail Mary for that matter, right?
Because it was the last property we had available at that time.
But you part of your plan was to hold out for something good, right? And not just to be desperate and leap at something. So that's paid off as a strategy as well.
Yeah, and Vitor helped me with that as well, because I told him in advance that when in my past, when I needed to move, I needed to move. So I didn't really have a choice. I just had to take what was available. Yes. And maybe it wasn't even close to what I would ideally like, but it was available. So all these properties were showing up, this dozen properties, they were all available. And my energy was, oh, better go get that, go look at it and, get it nailed down, and it's like, Vitor really he just reminded me, he said, just remember, this is a very emotional decision you're making, and we'll keep getting grounded in what it is you're looking for. You're not looking for anything. And then I found a phrase that helped me, which is the perfect place for me.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it has to be perfect. It just means it needs the perfect place for me.
Yes.
And Vitor and I were both very clear what that was, and that helped a lot. So again, working together, that's another thing that I chuckle at when I tell other people the story. But I had already put together a 3-column list, the things I must have, the things I would like to have and might be willing to pay extra for, and the things that are deal breakers. Those 3 things. I already had that list. So I contacted Vitor, and he said, well, one of the things, once we decide we're going to work together, one of the things I like to do is get a sense of what my client wants. So if you wouldn't mind putting together a list of the things that you must have, some of the things you would like, and anything that would cause the deal not to go through. I said, yeah, I'll send them to you right now. I already had that list available. So we were already on the same page.
That sounds very helpful to Vitor. It sounds like he's been quite a good client as well then, Vitor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, not only is he saying about my work or whatever, but James has also been a great client because, very easy to communicate with. And he's always been having this awareness that, things take time. And he was always with that mindset of everything happens for a reason. So if this doesn't work, we will keep looking, right?
Yes.
Of course, on this case, he did not have to move, so it was less that pressure. But I can say that since the beginning, when I started working with expats, and in the beginning, I definitely there were many parts where I didn't really know what I was doing, but I figured it out anyway. I don't think there has been any situation where, at the end of the day, we couldn't actually find something that would fit. Right.
Yeah. Very good. So well done, the pair of you, for that. And that will make a great video in the way that the legendary Bob and Viv were on that video that's been watched by 10 billion people, I think, now around the planet. Maybe the James finding a rental video will be equally popular, because I'm guessing that the demand is growing. You're getting more calls there, Vitor. And perhaps you can help with this question. This is Munson's mailbag, which is a new feature. We're going to try and sort of proactively help more people on the show in the morning with questions. This is from Chris in Devon in the UK. I'm not sure you can help with the second part of the question. Maybe others can in the community, but you're certainly the man for the first part of the question. Is renting simple for short-term tenants? Is that too vague as a question? What does he mean by short-term, and what does he mean by simple?
Well, let's read the whole thing and then we'll see.
Okay, can you provide
I'm
me?
not seeing anything about rent. You've got, is renting simple for short-term tenants up on the screen.
Yes. Okay. Can you provide also? Like people who aren't very tall? Are you thinking as well? There is renting simple for short-term tenants. Anyway, can you provide me with the medical insurance details, please? I'm trying to message the sports minister or any government sports manager to connect for boxing, as it's not happening for competitive amateurs or virtually no boxing clubs here in Portugal. He thinks any help or direction would be fantastic. Thank you, please. Right. So first bit, is renting simple for short-term tenants. I mean, in many ways, the whole tourism situation here in Portugal means that short-term rentals are very simple. Airbnb,
They're just not cheap.
They're not cheap. I think what he means, though, is not the coming and signing up for a 3-year lease and not being a tourist. What's happening in the middle ground, Vitor?
The middle ground.
Yes, if he wanted to rent somewhere for 3 months, 6 months, what are his chances on that? Because
in fact, sometimes that is the challenge we get when looking for rentals for clients. That some people, have vacation homes or whatever, and they rent them out, but it's like for 3 or 6 months, give or take. So sometimes we want properties for 1 year, but they're available for much shorter time than that, right? So it is simple, and as you said, I believe the law states that any rental shorter than 3 years is technically considered a short-term rental. Right. But if you want to stay here for a few months or whatever, that can definitely happen. Sometimes we even get in contact with Airbnb owners. Hey, we have a client that needs to come here for 2 months. Could you do a special price, for 60 days or something like that? So again, another reason why I like having meetings with clients before starting to work together is because I always want to start with the end in mind, and then we talk about what's going on. Because sometimes, to give an example, one of the clients that we're working with right now, they called me because, hey, Vitor, we need a rental because in March we're going to have our visa appointment, and so we need a rental, and then it can be something cheap so we can get the visa, and then we're going to go there in a few months and buy a home. And I'm like, I met with them, figured out what their situation was, and then I told them, hey, look, I understand that you're going to have your meeting now, and then in like 2 months you're going to sell your home in the US, right? And then that's when you're going to want to buy a home. But you can actually buy a home now without having all of the money available, because we can look for something now. We can sign the promissory contract. You pay 10%, and then you can use that for the visa. And then later on, when you do sell your home, we can make it so that we sign the deed after you sell your property.
Wow. Okay.
So right. that is a possibility as well, right?
Yes.
What ended up happening is that they actually decided to indeed go with a rental first, but their son, I actually helped him buy a house, which we're still in the contract phase, waiting for the documentation. But again, always like starting with the end in mind. What do you need? How long are you going to stay? What do you need it for? What do you like? What you don't like? And then sometimes, for example, hey, this is a home that I would like, right? Yeah. But I would only need to stay there for 3 months to then move up for something else. Then maybe the home may not be as good during those 3 months because it's going to be a much more temporary thing.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So
each case is a case.
Yes, and so it's important to find out exactly what your personal requirements are. So we're getting some indication of what might be possible for Chris here. And yes, when you were talking about the off-season rental, which is going to be much more likely and less expensive than the tourism season, that indicates that if you are coming on a scouting trip and you want a short-term rental of that kind, maybe do it in the Portuguese winter or autumn rather than the late spring and into summer, where the prices will go up and they won't be interested in renting to you for 2 or 3 months.
Yes,
possibly.
And more specifically, November through maybe March. I mean, the high season is getting longer and longer. I'm being told by
that's right. The shoulder is extending.
Yeah, so May to October is basic, and into October is still the high season, where it used to be kind of June through August, so it's stretched out.
And it's seasonal too. It's seasonal too. For example, here in Ponte de Lima, we have Feiras Novas, which is the big yearly event. That's in September. So that's going to be tough to find rentals as well.
Okay, very good. That's that part of the question. And Pam and Mel are also contributing. Lots of people don't know what they're looking for, especially when first moving to a new country. So much is changing at the same time. It's hard to know what your life will be like. That's right. And Mel, I would imagine short-term rental easy out of season. Landlords want to fill their summer rentals in winter, but tricky and expensive in warmer 6 months. Yes, maybe there's an app. We could build an app so that landladies can rent out their off-season properties more easily. Don't forget your winter clothes. If you do that, though, take that option. We took shorts and T-shirts in March when we initially came over, and they were expecting snow. You need those, what were they called? Serolish. You need your leggings when you come over at that time of year. And on the other part of it, we may return to this. Thank you very much for this, Antonio. There's no Ministry of Sports. Isn't that amazing? You'd think in Portugal there would be a Ministry of Sports, and it might be one of the most important and well-funded ministries of all. No Ministry of Sports, just a Secretary of State for Sport. Regarding boxing, there are many boxing clubs and gyms. So I suppose, like many things, it's a matter of because you can't find them on the internet, it doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yes,
That's
it's the old trick of finding things in Portugal.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest challenge for me when I need something. And I think the easy out is, well, just go to Amazon. But, you know, if you ask Portuguese people, where can I find this? They'll probably tell you, but you're not going to find it online or other places.
Exactly. And that's why you need the help on the ground from people like Vitor Costa. Sorry, gentlemen, I've kept you over time here. It's 2 minutes past 9. And because the two of you are so upbeat and positive, generally speaking, may you give us words of advice and wisdom as you send people on their way this morning with a boa semana in their hearts. You first, Vitor.
Well, it's as I say, I'm just going to leave the quote from Chris Voss, right? Never be so sure of what you want that you wouldn't take something better.
Oh,
nice.
Plot twist.
Nice, yes.
Like life is always changing. Things are always changing. And another thing that they always do, and I think James may agree that we've gone through some of it before, right?
Yeah.
We had that initial meeting, had that big list, here's what they want, what they don't want, and whatever. But then as we go on, I consider each day as almost a new day, because it's like, okay, there's a new property that comes up. Maybe it doesn't fit every requirement. But it's like, hey, how do you feel about this?
Yes.
And either it doesn't work or it does work. And because it's like Zig Ziglar also says, people change their minds one time out of 100. But they will make new decisions based on new information. And information is always changing. We're always learning something new. Something new happens. You know, sometimes some emergency comes up, and what used to be available or what we used to want, now we need something completely different. Like one time I was about to sell a property as well, but then unfortunately the clients had a diagnosis for the wife's mom. And she wouldn't be able to use stairs anymore. So we were not able to continue with that property itself, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of things to say. It's a complicated process. It's not the matter of, you know, renting out, booking out the homes, but many times Portuguese people are asking absurd prices just because they feel like they can. Yeah. So they would rather have the whole thing empty instead of just being more reasonable. But it is what it is.
Yep. And can we have that Chris Voss quote again? Because that was really nice. Can you do that for us one more time?
Yes. Never be so sure of what you want that you wouldn't take something better.
We like that, don't we, James? Cheers, Vitor. Always great to have you here.
Do you mind one last point I wanted to make recently, though?
Yes, please.
So this is a bit on the side, but as you know, many times Portuguese people will complain about the Americans coming here or whatever and pricing us out and things like that. But on that note, I've been thinking about that ever since they started talking about these things. And, you know, first of all, the people who say that it's the fault of foreigners coming here that are almost doubling the price of homes also need to explain to me, why isn't it the Americans' fault that bread is also twice the price that it used to be, right?
Right.
Because there's some, you know, small breads here in Ponte Lima that used to be 19 cents. Now they're 34.
Right.
So it's probably the Americans as well that are coming here and raising
No
the price
question.
of bread because they're buying all the bread, right?
Yes,
But
that's right.
secondly,
Yeah,
we like
James.
working with people who want to come here,
I'm
become part
sorry.
of the community and contribute. And I can tell you that maybe I've been living under a rock, but from being in some, for example, Braga expat groups, I've seen a lot more charity initiatives, people collecting towels and blankets and clothing and food and volunteering of all sorts. I've seen so many more expats doing that for the communities than
Yeah.
I've ever seen Portuguese people even try.
Well,
So-
let's blame the Americans for that as well, shall we?
But again, there will always be
You're
weird
making us look
people.
bad.
There will always be a villain, right? So there will always be. Everybody is always looking for an evil guy that's there to put you down or whatever, and it's your fault you're not succeeding. Some people think it's the real estate agents. God knows how many people have already attacked me and insulted me because they think I'm the problem, right? Other people think it's foreigners. Personally, if I had to pick someone, I would probably call the government. Because
Yes.
for every 1,230 euros I have to charge my clients, I get to keep about 800. So that also helps double prices if you think about it.
Yes,
but somehow
that opens a whole new can of worms, which I'd love to talk to you about at some point, Vito. I know you have some very interesting opinions on that, but thank you for that. That is very interesting.
But you can go to portugaldoor.com.
Yes,
and there are all my contact details and links, and you can schedule a meeting in there and everything. So,
and yes, it's true. Carl believes the Americans have destroyed the English language. We're evil. Yeah, absolutely.
Just look at what we're doing to Portuguese.
Yes, exactly.
Holy smokes!
I'm standing in a glass house with a handful of rocks, speaking Portuguese right here. Okay, and my dog smells. I don't know if that's a sort of coded message of can we bring our pet to a property, but if you want to reach out to Vitor, it's portugaldoor.com, or get in touch with me. And actually, all these haters that have been giving you a hard time, Vitor, they're going to have to come through me and James and Bob and Viv and John and Pam as well. Yeah, okay, well, they can shut up.
All they're going to have to do is, say 2 words, and they're going to stop being mad. So
but then at the same time, when they called me to sell a property, hey, Vitor, this property, we're asking for a very high price, so it has to be an American to buy it.
Yeah, right. Suddenly they love Americans, right?
Yes.
At that point.
Not to mention that pretty much every Portuguese family has at least half their cousins in Sweden or France or whatever.
Or New Jersey for that matter. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant, Vitor. Wonderful. James, last word, or was it 2 words? Were you just saying?
Well, I do have 1 word to finale, but I do want to add the service that I got from Vitor includes, and we didn't talk about this, the setting up of all the utilities, the electricity, the water, making sure that your Wi-Fi and internet is good to go. So basically, it truly is a turnkey when you get there. Your place is ready for you. There's no, I need to spend a week figuring this out and 2 days figuring that out. And, I don't know if it's the ultimate service or not, but Vitor did say, we'll even buy some groceries for you so you don't have to worry about food when you move in. So,
including those expensive bread rolls.
That's right.
Yes.
We'll pay 34 cents a roll for you just to make sure you have the only ones you're willing to pay for.
Yes.
So that's just, I wanted to add that's part of the service, not just finding a place and getting it done. He reviews the contract or provides a contract depending on what the property owner has. There's a whole lot that goes into making it complete so that when it's done, it's done. There's nothing more that needs to be done. So I wanted to add that. It's very important. It's for me anyway. And then the very short, easy is when I mention kindness, I think that is just a great word to leave on. Just, remember to be kind, whether you're upset, whether you're joyful, it's the Dalai Lama. One of the reasons I love that quote, and I'll throw that in, is he says, be kind whenever possible. And it's always possible.
Yes.
And I think that's important to remember. Doesn't matter how mad I am, if I can take a breath and remember to be kind to the person that I'm feeling upset with, I will feel less upset, and it will probably most likely be more constructive. So
very good.
Kindness is important.
Right. I'd like to extend on that as well. There's some more comments piling in now. Obrigado, Carl. This is for Vitor's contact details. I actually have 3 smelly cats now. Well, good for you. Every
There's a
home should
song
have.
about a smelly cat.
There is, isn't there? Yes. And also we've got winter sports and all sorts going on as well in the chat. So thanks everybody for being here this morning. Thanks again for everybody who turned up on Saturday for the Gumper Good Times gathering. And just finally on this matter of kindness and what Vitor was saying about the contribution foreigners make as well with community initiatives, the expat angels idea is floating again. I shall be talking about that tonight on the Portugal Club live stream and a little bit of a lock-in after. So if you want to get back into that vibe of what you can do to give back, if you want to share your expertise, your professional expertise and knowledge from the past and share it with young Portuguese entrepreneurs, or you want to get involved with a local community project, let's talk about those things tonight at 8 o'clock after me and the Portuguese at 7. At 8 o'clock I'll do a little bit of a live stream and talk about these things, and then we can have a lock-in after at 8:30 with the Portugal Club. So yeah, that's a whole expat angel idea, probably a working title and in want of a better name, but just how we can give back as foreigners coming to Portugal in the way that Vitor mentioned, as well as pushing all the prices up 3 or 4 times and changing the price of bread in this country. Vitor, you've been brilliant. James, you've been brilliant. I shall see you. Oh, another question. Does Vitor help immigrants or only expats? Oh, no.
What's the difference?
I help every kind of person. I've even helped American people who wanted to sell properties in the US. So there's that.
All right, very good. There you go.
Vitor is a helper.
See
That's
what
the whole reason he got into business, was to help people.
He's a professional helper, yes, and kind to boot. Lots of love to you and your family, Vitor, and to you, James. Take care. Bye for now. We'll see you soon, everybody. Ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell.